Students, this is chapter number 13, the use and abuse of drugs. By the end of today's lesson, you would be able to define drugs, and then we will classify or categorize them into three major groups: medicinal drugs, socially accepted drugs, and drugs of abuse. You will also learn about broad and narrow spectrum antibiotics. We will also see the mechanism of action of antibiotics and what antibiotic resistance is, how we can prevent it, and what are the causes of it. In the end, we will also look on analgesics and anesthetics. First, let's define drugs. What are really these are? These are externally administered chemicals that alter or modify or affect the biochemical reactions in the body. So we got three information from the definition. That first is that they are externally administered. They are not naturally produced in our body. They are to be taken from external sources. Second point is that they are chemical in nature, and third point is what they do. They are altering the biochemical reactions in the body. Now, what kind of drugs can be there? There are drugs that are orally taken by mouth, and then there are topically applied drugs. Like you can see here, they can be applied in nasal cavities or in the eyes or in the ear or on the skin. All these would be labeled as topically applied. Then there are injectables that you inject into the veins. Now I have classified drugs into three major categories. First one is medicinal drugs. These are the drugs that are taken on prescription. Whenever the physician gives you the prescription, only then these medicinal drugs are taken. These are for medicinal purposes. Then there are socially accepted drugs and drug of abuse. Today we are going to see about medicinal drugs, the antibiotics. Antibiotics are further classified into four major categories: penicillin, cephalosporins, tetracyclines, and erythromycin. Penicillin is the first discovered antibiotic. It is the most commonly used one. Then there are anesthetics and analgesic, which also fall in the category of medicinal drugs. Now, what antibiotics are? Since I told you that we are going to look on medicinal drugs today, medicinal drugs includes antibiotics. These are the chemical substances which either kills the bacteria or inhibit its growth. So we got to know the layout of the antibiotic mechanism of action, that either they will kill the bacteria or would inhibit their growth, inhibit their reproduction rate. This is the classification on the basis of mode of action: bacteriostatic and bactericidal. From static, keep in mind that it controls or retards or stop or hinders the growth of the bacteria. Bacteriostatic antibiotics are those antibiotics which will stop the growth of bacteria. On the other hand, bactericidal can be remembered with the word cidal, which comes from suicide, which means that the bacteria would be killed by the antibiotics. So on the basis of mode of action, we can classify antibiotics into two categories: one which retards the growth and the ones which kill the bacteria. On the basis of spectrum of action, that on which organisms or on which bacteria they act on, we can classify antibiotics again into two categories. One is broad spectrum, the other is narrow spectrum. What these terms mean: broad spectrum antibiotics means that the antibiotics which target a wide range of bacteria. Many kind of bacteria are affected by it. On the other hand, narrow spectrum antibiotics are targeting only a small range of bacteria, only a small kind of bacteria. Not many bacteria are affected by these narrow spectrum antibiotics. You can remember them as that broad spectrum antibiotics have general effect. They are affecting many bacteria. On the other hand, if you need to target one certain bacteria, you would use narrow spectrum antibiotics. Now, how antibiotics work, what is the mechanism of action? They do it by two ways. Either they will prevent the cell wall synthesis of bacteria. In the chapter of biotechnology, you would have learned about the structure of bacteria. Bacteria has a cell wall as its outermost layer. The antibiotics which fall in this category would inhibit the cell wall formation of bacteria, which will make them more susceptible, more at risk of being engulfed by phagocytes. The phagocytes in your body are involved in phagocytosis. When the bacteria would not have the cell wall, they will be at there will be more chances that your phagocytes would engulf these bacteria. The other method or mechanism of action of antibiotic is that they would prevent the formation of protein formation in bacteria. Protein in the bacteria are making up the cell membrane and other structures in bacteria. If the antibiotics would prevent this protein formation, there will be no growth of newer bacteria. There will be no reproduction of newer bacteria. So antibiotics work either by not letting the bacteria form the cell wall, or by retarding the formation of proteins of bacteria. Prevention of cell wall is done by penicillin. Penicillin is an antibiotic which works by inhibiting or preventing the formation of cell wall of bacteria. Because of this, bacteria would become easy target of your immune system, which involves phagocytes and lymphocytes. And if the protein synthesis of bacteria is stopped, as it is done by tetracycline, another kind of antibiotic, and erythromycin also, then they won't be able to grow and divide. If you give an antibiotic which prevents the formation of protein, the bacteria won't be able to grow any further or divide. Antibiotics are not effective against viruses, and one antibiotic may work against one or more types of bacteria. Now we have to learn about what antibiotic resistance is. It's a very important topic. What it says that there comes a time when bacteria are no longer sensitive to an antibiotic as a result of a sudden spontaneous change in their genetic material, which is called mutation. This gives them selective advantage over bacteria that are sensitive to its action. What it means now, understand this point, that whenever you are using antibiotics continuously, when you use them, you overuse them or misuse them, what happens is that some of the bacteria undergo mutation. Mutation means that there would be a sudden spontaneous change in their genetic material. This change in genetic material would allow them to survive and would pass on this mutated gene from one organism to another, one bacteria to another, and what they will get from doing so, they will get resistant towards antibiotics. For instance, like in this diagram, there are many bacteria, but some of them have mutated. Their genetic material went through some changes. You don't need to know about those changes. Just remember that there happened mutation. Mutation is the sudden change of genetic material. In these red labeled bacteria, the genetic makeup changed in a way that when you expose the bacteria with antibiotics, the resistant bacteria remained alive. Nothing happened to them. Otherwise, the bacteria which were not resistant, that are labeled with blue color, were killed, while the resistant ones remained. Now what happened, that these bacteria grew further, divided more, and gave rise to bacteria that were resistant towards antibiotics. In the next fourth position, you can say that resistance can be transferred also. If one bacteria got the resistance, this gene can be passed on to the non-resistant bacteria as well. So you have to understand resistance, that it is developed by bacteria against the antibiotics, because of which they get an advantage that they survive from the antibiotics if are exposed again and again. For instance, if I got ill by some bacterial infection, my prescription is of antibiotics is given, and I'm taking antibiotics again and again. I am exposing myself. In other words, I am exposing the bacteria with antibiotic again and again. With passage of time, bacteria would become insensitive towards those antibiotics and nothing would happen even if I will continue those antibiotics. This is called antibiotic resistance in bacteria. What are the causes of it? What causes this resistance to develop in bacteria? First point is that overprescription would lead to it. If you are misusing the antibiotic, if you are taking it beyond the course, if you remember or you know from your general information that antibiotics have a certain dose or the proper treatment for 3 to 7 days that you have to take these antibiotics to get rid of the illness. But if you use it over and over again without prescription or being over prescribed by physician themselves, this lead to antibiotic resistance in bacteria. Patients not taking antibiotics as prescribed. Now this is a very important point. People or patients who do not complete the course of antibiotics and leave the use of antibiotics before the time prescribed by the physician would cause resistance in bacteria. So it is important that patient would take the antibiotics as prescribed in this dosage prescribed and the time duration which is being prescribed. All the prescribed measures should be followed. Unnecessary antibiotic used in agriculture. This is a very important point again. In agriculture and also in farming, for instance in poultry or in fishing department or in agriculture where crops are being grown, sometimes antibiotics are used. Now we are consuming these animals which are being given these antibiotics. When we eat these poultry or chicken or whatever the product is, if we are eating it, we are also taking in antibiotics that was present in their body. So we are exposing the bacteria in our body with the antibiotics unnecessarily. We didn't need it. We didn't need these antibiotics but were given unintentionally through these food products. Next point is poor infection control in hospital and clinics. The frequent infections in the hospital would obviously lead to frequent use of antibiotics. So it is important that in the hospitals and clinics, hygienic and sanitation practices should be observed. Lack of rapid laboratory tests is one of the key factors of antibiotic resistance as well. Since we are unable to produce newer antibiotics, that's why we are already dependent upon the old antibiotics. So repeated use of those antibiotics would cause resistance in the bacteria. Now how we can prevent this resistance? It's simple. Whatever you have learned here, make sure that you don't do these things to prevent the antibiotic resistance. For example, ask yourself that do we really need to have antibiotic? There are some diseases which are viral. For viral diseases, antibiotics are not used because antibiotics do not work against viral infections. So sometimes it happens that people get confused whether the flu or the common cold is viral or bacterial. So they start taking antibiotic on their own by self-medication, which leads to unnecessary exposure to antibiotics. Then completing the course is very important, that whenever you are being prescribed the antibiotics, it is important that you complete the course irrespective of the fact that if you have started to feel better or not. You need to complete the prescribed course of the antibiotics. 30% of the antibiotics produced in our environment or in our society are unnecessary. This is the same point which I told you here, that we need to analyze that whether the infection is caused by virus or bacteria, then the antibiotics should be prescribed if the infection is bacterial. Misuse and overuse should be prevented. As you can see that the antibiotics would affect the bacteria initially, but in the end, with the passage of time, bacteria would become resistant towards these antibiotics, and then they won't be effective against the bacterial infections. We can also do it by making sure that we do not pressure our healthcare providers for antibiotics. It's a general common sense that whenever you are sick, and if the physician says you that it's a viral infection, but you feel psychologically that you need to be prescribed with antibiotics. So don't pressure the healthcare providers to give you antibiotics irrespective whether you need it or not. There are certain diseases, for instance colds or flu or coughs, bronchitis, running nose or ear aches or sore throats, which are mostly viral. For them you don't need to have antibiotics. Whenever you need to have antibiotics, always make sure they are being prescribed to you. Do not go for self-medication. Why it is important? Because as you can see here, that the resistant bacteria does not remain resistant itself. It also transfers the resistant gene to the other bacteria as well. Whenever they will reproduce or grow, they would exchange or they would transfer the resistant gene to the daughter cells also. In the end, we have to see what are anesthetics and analgesics. Anesthetics are drugs that make the body unable to feel pain. Loss of sensation is seen in anesthetics. For instance, cocaine and novocaine, the derivative of cocaine, are used to suppress the feeling of pain along with the feeling of sensation. These are also used locally and generally. For instance, if you have to numb the certain area, a local area, that anesthetic would be called as local anesthetic. But you would have heard about anesthesia during surgeries. Sometimes during the major surgeries, the anesthesia used is general, not local. General means that it will completely numb the brain. All the sensation would go away, while local one would only numb a certain place, a certain region, locally applied. So it won't give you a general numbness to all over your body. Analgesics are pain relievers. Simply, they do not cause any effect to your consciousness. You remain conscious. Analgesics example, a very common one is of aspirin.